Hello, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están, amigos? How are you today? How is this beautiful Thursday, jueves, for you all? And also, well, today, North America, the United States in particular, is celebrating Thanksgiving, and I have many, many good friends tuning from the United States. So let me wish you also a happy Thanksgiving to you all. Hola Ashrid, hola, ¿qué tal? It's been a long time since last time we've been together. Thanks for the message also. And well, thank you once again for your participation and for your interest in Peruvian history and, of course, Peruvian culture. Today, we will continue with this series dedicated to, well, the history of the north coast of Peru. Yesterday, we talked about the nature of the north coast of Peru. What are those elements that make, well, that part of the country so unique and different to the rest of Peru? And well, I think we will not delay anymore the start of this event. Also, if you wish to see the full series that I have dedicated to Peru, I am, by the way, a tour guide, an official tour guide here in Peru. I'm based in the city of Lima. So, well, this series is informative and is to give you an understanding of different destinations you should put on your radar if you wish to come to Peru. So if you wish to access to the full series in which you can see, well, the 4 parts dedicated to Cusco, 5 parts dedicated to Lima, also 4 parts to Ica, 4 parts to Arequipa, and I'm planning also to make a 4-part series to the north coast of Peru. Well, please consider becoming my subscriber on Patreon. And there you have also the library to all of these videos. I actually started this series exactly 1 month ago. So this is my first month streaming live almost daily on YouTube. And thank you so much to those friends who've been with me since pretty much the start of this series. Okay, so now we will continue, and well, in today's occasion, we will talk about well uh, the importance of the archaeological findings in the north coast of Peru. Just give me 1 second because I will also accommodate my slide. I have several also slides today to share with you all. So hopefully you will have a really great time today with me. Um, Okay, here it is. Very, very good. So, and if you can, please let me know if you are seeing the images. I should be also in a little corner in the bottom part of the presentation, and most of the screen should be an image, or actually several images that I will be sharing with you in this time that we will have together. So we will continue with this series to the north coast of Peru with archaeology and pre-Hispanic history. Peru is a land of ancient cultures. The history of Peru didn't start with the arrival of the conquistadors, with the arrival of Francisco Pizarro. In fact, we have thousands of years of evolution, of cultural evolution, that took us on a complete unique pathway, cultural, like historical, and more. So, well, Peru itself as a nation is very diverse, and that is all related with, of course, the geography of this part of the world, the Andes, the cold current of Humboldt, the jungle, and the territory. Peru is one of the biggest territories in South America, biggest countries in South America. So this diversity also created lots of splashes of unique societies in different parts of the map of this country. So in today's occasion, we are moving to the north coast of Peru, where also several societies, some of them recognized as the most advanced societies in our history, existed. And these societies, they existed for hundreds of years. No? So we will see also what happened with them briefly, of course. We will not really go in detail to talk about each one of these societies, but the intention is having the chance of understanding, well, the heritage left by these cultures in, well, the nowadays, let's say, tradition, cultural tradition of the north coast of Peru. And we are definitely going way back in the history of the North Coast with this society named Cupisnique. It's a society that started to be investigated and pretty much was discovered by one of the most famous men associated with the archaeology in Peru, founder also of a museum. It's a private collection that is known as the best collection, private collection of archaeological pieces we have in the city of Lima. The name of this museum is Larco. The creator of this museum was Rafael Larco Hoyle. And Larco Hoyle was actually one of the first investigators who put his eyes on this society and who actually identify, well, the artistic elements that differentiate, well, the art of these people with the art of other societies that he was actually very, very much more trained in. He was self-taught, by the way, in the archaeology, but he was able to have more like understanding of another society. Later we'll talk about that society, and he realized that, well, in the same locations basically where this society he was more used to, actually a more modern society, or that he collected pieces from, like in that same location also there were evidences of other times, from other styles, that were even more ancient. And well, this culture is nowadays known as Cupisnique. The art of Cupisnique is quite peculiar. It's very curious. The nowadays specialists in this art, they say that they have an influence from another even more important culture, more famous, the Chavin culture, from the Andes territory. And the Chavin culture and this Cupisnique culture, they created or recreated in their art the representations of their deities. Some of them look like ferocious, like pumas, and jaguars. Some of them look also with symbols that emulate, for example, the shapes of the snake, like the one you can see in the center. And some of them also are peculiar because we don't know exactly what the artist is trying to represent in those. Like, for example, let's start with the one on the left-hand side, in which we can see, in this ceramic piece, this is a ceramic piece with a stirrup handle, no? And this spout on the top actually is the access of liquid into the vessel. So here we can see the acrobat. That's how this piece has been called. And it definitely looks like a person that is indeed doing like an acrobatic movement. But the nowadays investigations explain this art piece as possibly the resulting of hallucinogenicals intaken by this priest, and also this process of, let's say, post intake of hallucinogenicals, in which there are some contortions done, movements that probably are all related with a foretelling or visionary experience. No? Hola, hello, hello. Hi. Thank you so much for joining also to this event, my dear friend. And by the way, checking on the chat. If you have questions also, please anytime just let them be known here on the in the interactive chat. So well, this society that also It's very old. According to some specialists, well, the birth of this culture probably started around the year 2000 before Christ. But because there's no clarity in the birth time, some specialists even delay the birth of this society to the year 1000 before Christ. So an intermediate between these two dates would be 1500. That's before Christ. That's the beginnings, let's say, of this society, Cupisnique, and it continue existing until, well, almost the beginnings of Christian era. So this societies really lasted for hundreds of years, no? Hundreds of years. So their religion was based in a cult to creatures or entities that had the appearance of their sacred animals. And we can definitely see that, for example, in the second vessel. That second ceramic piece has a snake. Clearly, also, this representation is associated with the underworld, the world under us, the Kai Pacha, the world of the dead. Because according to the beliefs of the pre-Hispanic times that really continue until nowadays, honestly, no, but Christianized in a way, no? So the world was divided in three parts. There was an upper world, the world of the divine, the skies, the moon, the lightning, well, the sun, such an important god also for the Incas, for example. That upper world, the representative of that world was the condor. In some cultures, it was the owl or it was the eagle, also birds, basically. The world where we live is associated with the puma, the feline, and the underworld is the world of the snake. And also related with the world where we live, the world of the of humans, the world of the pumas, no, also a supernatural world, because here is where shamans get in contact with the deities, with the divine, the world of, the present. That's the Kai Pacha. The underworld is the Uku Pacha, by the way. I think I made a mistake saying that the snake is the Kai Pacha, is the Uku Pacha, is the underworld. No? So the world where we live is the Kai Pacha. And the last piece on the right-hand side shows what specialists believe is a shaman. And how this is a shaman. Well, we can see that this ceramic piece is divided into sections. Well, this is sort of like a face or two faces glued and united, right? Two different types of faces. On the picture on the left hand side, you can see a creature that looks like a puma. It has even fangs of puma, or like teeth that are very sharpy, no? And the features basically look much more like a supernatural, like basically a puma deity. And on the other side, on the right hand side, you can see a more like human like features. At least we can see that this side also has the ear that looks like a deer shape, the head of a deer. We can see also that instead of one nose, there are two noses, one on top of the other. And also from the mouth comes out a sort of like a snake, but another interpretation is a fluid that is emanating, that is coming out of the body, of course, from the mouth. So according to the interpretations of the experts, especially these pieces in Larco Museum, so the experts in Larco Museum in Lima, they describe this piece as a representation of the metamorphosis of a man into a shaman, a metamorphosis that the shamans also live at the moment when they are taken by the superior entities. And the only way how that can happen is during the intake of hallucinogenicals. These plants like still in use are in use nowadays, like ayahuasca, San Pedro, and several peyote in North America. No, several other different plants used along the whole Americas. No, well, were also consumed and still are consumed, and the effects in the body are the same. No, the effects haven't changed. So that's how we know, nowadays, even how it feels. Those that have tried these hallucinogenicals know how it feels, no, be under the effect of those. Also, first of all, the nauseous, no, the cleanse, the cleansing process, which is also like the thing that produces the vomit that you see coming from the mouth of this person, out like a fluid emerging. The two noses that represent that you can smell more than normally you would. You can also perceive more, like the sounds of nature, the sounds of the gods. So that's why the ear looks more like the head of an animal. So, well, this is in images is the description of what happens when someone intakes hallucinogenicals. Isn't this incredible? So these ancient people didn't need it to let's say left or to leave any documents, to express many of their experiences, their feelings, their events also. And nowadays, well, we have most of these pieces in museums, accessible to anyone. Sadly, also, they are wonderful pieces that are in private collections that we will not be able ever be able to see them. So here we can see another society from the north coast of Peru. We are moving a little bit forward. And at the downfall of the Cupisnique society, we have the emerging of another culture named Biru. That's one of the names given to this society. Keep in mind that the names they use to name themselves, we don't know. We have no idea how they call themselves. They disappeared. These societies disappeared like way too long before the arrival of the conquistadors, and there was no way for us to know well, about like details related with their language. For example, we don't know which languages they use, but what we know is that languages evolve. No, so probably the languages spoken in the north coast of Peru, well, after the passing of thousands of years, of course, changed. But later on, at the arrival of the conquistadors discovered a language that was used in the north coast of Peru that was not used in other parts. That is the Moche language. And that language existed until the beginnings of the 20th century. So it seems that, well, these ancient societies spoke a form of that language, which was not even Quechua, the language that still is spoken by majority of the indigenous people in Peru. Well, Biru is a society also that existed in the north coast of the country, and they are famous for the gold and how they made pieces in gold of 24 carats, 24 carats gold. Imagine that. So, for example, we have this Venus, this beautiful Venus over there that also it shows, well, the art and the way how these ancient societies represented, well, the divine, and also, well, the human bodies, even almost perfect. So this society, Biru, also has or produced one of my favorite pre-Hispanic pieces made in gold that also, if you want to see, let's say in person, it is located in the Gold Museum of Peru in Lima, and is this bag that you see on the left-hand side. So again, this bag is made on 24 carats gold. And so you may be wondering, like, where is the bag? So this puma, or this feline that you see there, clearly is a feline with a tongue coming out, a very long tongue. has a sort of like square body, right? So right under the neck of this character, of this creature, there is a little opening. Actually, there are two plaques of gold, one that is attached to the rest of the body and another one in front that makes like the shape of a bag. So bags like this one carried coca leaf, for example, or some other elements that were important for rituals, probably. So, well, this used to be a bag and probably was attached to a string of uh, some material we don't know anymore because it degraded, it disintegrated, and it was originally probably part of a burial. But sadly, most of these pieces were rescued from the hands of looters. So that's how they ended up in private collections, and that's why, sadly, many of these pieces don't have an associated funerary context because they were taken from those places and well, these people who are like looting sites, they never reveal from where they took the pieces from. Okay, so they just keep that for them, so we don't know exactly what is the site associated with those pieces. And also another characteristic of this society of Peru, well, is this ceramic that you see of two compartments, two like ceramic pieces, no, that are connected, united by one bridge, which is like a handle, right? And the bottom part is really a tube that connects the two chambers inside. And usually these pieces have an element on top that looks decorative, but in fact, this element produces whistles. So these are whistlers, vessels that by the action of putting first water inside, not to the top, of course, to a certain level, and also movement, done intentionally, of course, by the person who is handling the piece. Well, this person can produce an effect of whistling. And that's what you can do with these pieces. And now we continue forward, and we are now going to the, well, society that is probably the most representative of the north coast of Peru, and also, well, the most famous. Especially it became famous suddenly, like around the world, in the year 1987, when the first ever intact tomb of a lord, of a governor from this culture, was discovered. It was sort of like discovering like the tomb of Tutankhamun. Like until then, no tomb of a pharaoh was discovered intact. Well, it was for Peruvians pretty much the same feeling, and it was actually, well, this discovery referred to as the Tutankhamun of the Americas. I'm referring in particular to the Lord of Sicán, and to the culture that, well, this lord, this person, this governor belonged to. The nowadays name Moche culture, also known as Mochica. So here you can see also the name of this society. Both names are correct, of course. So Moche or Mochica culture emerged in the beginnings of Christian era, so almost 2,000 years ago. That's the start point of this society. And this society lasted for hundreds of years. As always, there are debates in terms of when exactly a society came to an end. And to be honest, it's hard to say it because it's not that everybody died, like a cataclysm, like the destruction of an entire place. The ending of the societies is more related with a transition of style, a transition of like governors, government system, a decadence that probably is caused by, well, the natural destruction of, let's say, the environment caused by, for example, here in Peru, the Niño phenomena, a phenomena that is produced by the intrusion in the coast of Peru of a warm current of water that comes from the Ecuador, Panama, that is in that section of the planet, the equatorial current or the Nino current. So when this warm current of water comes into the coast of Peru, that is ruled by a cold current of water, the Humboldt current, well, we have rains, we have disasters also happening in the coast, in the rest of the country too, but especially, well, in these locations, referring to the North Coast, and that could create destabilization of the society. And this is not something that happened for 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month. This is something that can continue for years in some cases, that can weaken also the well uh, the impression people have about an authority, because these authorities were representatives of the deities. We are talking about theocratical societies. It's not like now that we don't associate the disasters of the world with the and the climatic changes to one person that is ruling. No, we of course understand that they can do changes, but we don't say that that person is creating that. No, in particular, or that person has the power to change and revert everything for us nowadays, because we are not in a theocratical society, but they were, and they believed their governors were gods. So that's why when these governors, especially the ones of, for example, societies like Moche, were buried, because they were considered divine, the children of the gods, they were buried with elements that also represented their status, they represented their, let's say, their connection also with those entities, those divine entities. And what are the elements also that, according to the pre-Hispanic people, were like so sacred, that it represented in earth what was divine, what came up from the skies. Well, gold, for example, silver, precious metals. Those were indeed representations in earth of the divine. Gold was the sweat of the sun in earth, and silver, the tears of the moon in earth. So that's why there is abundance of these metals in the tombs. And here you can see in this picture on the left hand side, well, the representation, the recreation, even using local models of people that exist nowadays in those locations of the country. The representation, the recreation of the Lord of Sicán, and also the tomb of the Lord of Sicán. And you can see also in the tomb the same elements that are used in the recreation or in the model. So, well, the Lord of Sicán also was buried with three wives. Three women were with him. Probably the principal wives that he had. If he didn't have more, we don't know. And that means that also they were sacrificed when their Lord died. But there was a life after this one, and that was the belief that these people had. Even until the arrival of the conquistadors, the Incas also believed in the afterlife. So that was one of the most difficult things to change also in the mind setting of the people of the Americas, especially in the people of this territory. So it was finally changed, this idea for, well, a heavenly world where we will be seeing each other's again. But it really takes a distance from what we believe happened in the afterlife, because there was also that world was a world accessible at some point to us in this world, in the Caipacha. Well, that maybe is for another event, but this is really important because the tombs, all these cemeteries also, they kept the bodies of these special people, and these special people animated also the buildings in a way. They were sacred also for the reason of who was inside or who was buried in. And also another thing I love about this society, the Moche people, is the fact that they had female rulers, women who ruled, women who had equivalent weight in terms of power, decision making also, than also men of that time. And well, not every pre-Hispanic society was that equalitarian, to be honest, but definitely we were way, way, way more distant in terms of equalitarian treatment than the Europeans and the conquistadors, no? Because we know that also here in the ancient times, there were women who ruled, women who were in charge of like the religion as well. And this is one of the cases, no? The Lady of Cao, Dama de Cao. So Lady of Cao also lived in the around the year 300 of our era, while the Lord of Sicán around the year 200 of our era. So this lady, this woman, seems that it was one of the most important leaders of her time. She was tattooed, and tattooing was something that was not really done by everybody. The tattoos she had in her body were snakes and spiders, so were elements related also with the foretelling, with the underworld, the world of the night. So also another thing very interesting is we know that she was very young when she died, and she died consequence of well, the birth, giving a birth. So at childbirth she probably had some complications, and she died right after. We don't know if she died during childbirth or right after, but we know it clearly because her body was not able to recover fully after the delivery. And like women, when we get our tummies big, we slowly contract, no, the tissue of the stomach. No? But because she didn't have any time to recover, the skin in the belly is very loose. It's very, very loose. No? So showing that she had actually a big belly at the time she died. So well, and this woman was buried with beautiful decorations, with crowns, with nose rings, with golden clothes also, showing something that until that moment, most archaeologists believed was reserved only for men. But now we know, thanks to her, that we had really, really powerful women in ancient Peru, and that Peruvian women can feel very proud. I feel very proud of such tremendous female figures in our history. We come from a breed of warrior women, and also foretellers. So this society, the Moche culture, will occupy a large territory, big territory in the north coast of Peru. Territories that nowadays belong to four departments: the department of Lambayeque, with capital Trujillo; the department of Lambayeque, with capital Chiclayo. Actually, Chiclayo is quite famous now because the Pope, Leo the 14th, actually had his last, let's say, office in Peru, in that city, in Chiclayo. He was a Augustinian missionary. He came to Peru many years ago. So, well, from here, from Chiclayo, he returned last time to Vatican to support his friend Francis, Pope Francis, and well, finally he was selected, as new pope. Also, Chiclayo is also a rich land in terms of archaeology. Well, so that's the second department. Lambayeque, capital Chiclayo. The next one, Piura, or capital Piura, and finally Tumbes, capital Tumbes also. But notice that we have in this map where you can clearly see some of the most important rivers in the north coast of Peru. By the way, these are not all of the rivers, because some rivers we have, they are seasonal. They are not always activated with water. Okay, so those are basically the most important. You can see that the culture Mochica or Moche is divided in two sectors, or in two types. We have Mochica from the south, Mochica Sur, which is the green patch you see over there, and Mochicas from the north, the northern Mochicas. And look, something very important. No, this society that initially started as one, let's say, group that share the same characteristics, the same traditions, the same language, well, the same, well, religion, little by little started to detach, creating two traditions. So the North created one tradition, the South created another tradition, evolved into other traditions. So let's talk about what happened in the North. So those Mochicas from the North eventually, and due to circumstances that are not necessarily clear, but we always associate those with climatic problems, climatic challenges, well, probably the arrival of phenomena like El Nino phenomenon, a separation of beliefs, no, and actions, probably, no? Maybe the ones of the North had suffered more from a Nino phenomenon, also they took different actions, and they started to separate naturally from those of the South, that had maybe the climatic conditions not as like as reverted. No? So these elements are very important, even though we think they are superficial. For us now, they are superficial because we don't depend on Mother Nature to survive. We have electricity, we have running water, we can store water, but those people had no way to survive without, well, the elements that in a way also like mark, well, their everyday. So, well, the north coast of Peru is separated into a tradition that is known nowadays as Lambayeque, also known as Sicán. So Lambayeque also is very rich historically, like most museums, gold museums that offer pre-Hispanic objects, like in the world, have pieces from this society. If it's not from Moche, is from Lambayeque Sicán. They are like known as some of the best like goldsmiths, silversmiths of our history. And the best silver works come from this region of the country, from the north coast. So here we can see the element that is the most symbolic of the Lambayeque culture, and is this knife you see on the top left-hand side. This ceremonial knife, even probably used in sacrifices, even probably human sacrifices, according to some potteries that were discovered in the ancient times, especially related with the Moche culture, we see clearly the depiction of human sacrifices. No? So, well, this society, known as one of the most important of the North Coast, existed between the years 700 to more or less the end of the 14th century. Like 1375 is, let's say, a standardized date, and that refers to also the moment when this society was finally absorbed by another one, that we will explore also in a moment. Well, the Chimú. Well, so first of all, like the gold in the times of the Lambayeque culture, well, was not necessarily like pure gold, as for example, the examples I showed you in Vicus, right, 24 karat gold. In this case, the gold was not usually like pure, and it was mixed with copper, for example. So we have lots of pieces that are mixed with copper. Silver also is mixed with copper, giving the metal more, let's say, hardening more, the metal, and durability as well. There are some tombs also of this society, have also examples of uh, important men buried there, using, for example, golden gloves. So, like, for example, in the case you see on the top, and even masks made on partially gold also, like the ones you see over here. One more thing about the Lambayeque culture is the tradition that we know associated to the creation or the appearance of this society. So according to the legend, well, the location where the town of Lambayeque, or the capital of this society, was before this culture, was, according to the legend, an uncivilized place. Okay, and the legend says that from the sea, a important man, a governor named Nailamp, came to the coast of Peru, and he introduced all the good ways, all the positive things. He taught the indigenous. He came with a fleet of rafts also, to the coast. He came from far, far away from the west. And this man was somehow connected with the birds. You can see always his eyes are represented as like almond shaped eyes. So, well, Nailamp, he got into this territory and he introduced a new cult, a new religion, the cult to Yampayek. So, according to the tradition, Yampayek was a god that was made on a green stone. Mhm. And well, this god was worshipped also in the capital of this city, that was created by Nailamp. And when Nailamp grew old, and he was very like sick and ill, he didn't die actually. Instead of dying, wings came out from his back, turning into a gigantic bird, and he flew to the skies. So that's how he left. Some versions even say that he returned to his ancestral home, to the west. So it's a very interesting story, very interesting legend. And well, this is the next also society, another very important society, the Chimú. At the downfall of the Mochica culture, already there were two groups or two cultures that emerged from this society that was very, very big. These territories taken by the Moche were huge, especially for that time. And also, when territories are way too big, it's more difficult to control them, to administrate them, to tax them. So there's always a breaking point for these societies, like in the case of the Incas also later. So, well, the Chimú corresponds to one of those groups in which the Mochicas divided. And these Chimú people also, they have, well, a tradition that for moments looks like the one of the northern society, the Lambayeque, in the sense of the gold, for example, the gold making. The Lambayeque people, they had excellent masks, and decorations and the knives also. But the Chimus were indeed also very, very great, excellent in the production of gold. The Chimus little by little became a big realm, a kingdom, and so important that later on, when the Incas started to expand, because the Incas came from the South Andes, from Cusco, and in a process of expansion that started in the beginnings of the 15th century with Pachacutec Inca, and continue with the next ones in line. So to this territory, to the territory of the Chimus, came one of the descendants of Pachacutec, Tupac Yupanqui. And Tupac Yupanqui also participated in the conquest of these people. We know that the Chimus were not happy with being subjects of the Incas. They were not subjects of anyone. And they fought against the Incas, and their kingdom expanded, the one of the Chimu, until the north of Lima, of my city. And they had fortresses, and they defended their territory as much as they could, but finally the Incas won. Okay, so the Chimus accepted, let's say, submission to the Incas, as long as, of course, they would be respected as an independent state that would tribute to the Incas. So one of the tributes the Inca demanded was to send, these Chimu people had to send a big group of silversmiths, goldsmiths, specialized in work in gold, to Cusco. Also, in that way, these men will produce gold for the Inca king. Mhm. And this is the type of let's say ornaments. This piece you see on the left hand side is from Larco Museum. So again, highly recommend you to go to Larco Museum. You can see there the crown and those earrings, and this necklace, this chest plates also. uh, this piece, this let's say a complete full set was discovered in a tomb in Chan Chan. What is Chan Chan? What is Chan Chan? Let me show you here. Chan Chan was the capital of the Wari Kingdom. And you can also visit Chan Chan. It's a museum. It's open to visit. It's located in Trujillo, in the north coast of Peru. Chan Chan was included also quite early in the list of UNESCO World Heritage in the year 1986. The archaeological site of Chan Chan is a huge city, one of the biggest cities in the world, built in mud. And it had palaces, it had temples, it had like plazas. It was a sacred place. So something very curious is that its importance was such that at the arrival of the conquistadors, and because the Chimus offered support to the Spaniards, the Chimus formed alliances with the Spaniards. They became allies to the Spaniards against the Incas. Yes. So the Chimus were not, let's say, like completely sort of like, um, what can I say, no? Like affiliated to the Incas at the time of the conquest of the Spaniards. They were their subordinates. They were conquered by the Incas. So they didn't betray the Incas. They were forced to be the servants of them. So when the Spaniards came, well, they offered their aid, their support, their help. And that's what happened at the end. So the Chimus were treated with certain level of respect by the Spaniards because they were useful to them. Okay, and when the Spaniards went to the city, nowadays city of Trujillo, which was established very close to this archaeological site of Chan Chan. The Spaniards didn't destroy it, but they built their city quite close, forming the nowadays city of Trujillo. So here we can see a little bit of how the fashion, the clothing of the times of the Chimú would be. You can see also some llamas there. Llamas were also sacrificed during the ceremonies of the Chimus. The Chimú people, they were not angels. The Chimus committed like sacrifices that were also like for us nowadays, modern people, like terrible. Every sacrifice is terrible. Humans have sacrificed people since the beginning of humanity. There are evidences of that even in the Bible, right? And here in the Americas was no different. But if we can rank also, the societies that committed the war sacrifices, I would put Chimú definitely on the top with the Moche too. But for like hard moments and hard times, well, hard decisions, tough decisions had to be made. And the coast of Peru, especially the north coast, was affected constantly by, the Niño phenomenon, that deprived them from any possibility of like obtaining crops. There was rain, the inundations, floodings of everything. The water was not like clean for drinking. It was muddy. So you could die simply. There was no alternative. You couldn't filter the water. Something so basic. So these sacrifices were associated with hard times that these people were living. Also, a recreation of how the lords in the Chimú times were dressed up also. Those are feathers, by the way, from the jungle, because there was an active trade with societies that were away from the coast. And here something very, very sad. I was mentioning about the human sacrifices, and the Chimus indeed commit terrible ones. And a few years ago, the Chimú culture also became famous worldwide, as well as, like in the case, for example, of the Moche, the Lord of Sicán, put the Moches in the radar of the world. But in this case, well, the Chimus put Peru in the radar because of a terrible mass sacrifice that took place about 500 years ago during the times of the Chimú. Oh, and well, that happened also in the city of Trujillo, very close to the famous beach of Huanchaco. So about 270 children were sacrificed in this mass sacrifice uh, close to the ocean. Actually, in this recreation, you can see the sea very close. This recreation was made by an artist, and a specialized artist, and also like trying to recreate the moment when the sacrifice happened. So let's take a moment to reflect on this image, no, and to understand why the Chimus had to do something like this. You can see, by the way, in this image also the Chimú Capac or Chimú Lord that is seated there in a sort of like a elevated seat that is carried by people, and a litter that is carried by his people, and he's witnessing the sacrifice of children that are actually, there's a group awaiting them, a big group, to pass one after the other to the in the presence of the priest. We have even llamas also there. And let's notice also, first of all, well, the sky is gray. That gray color is related with rain, but in the coast of Peru, pretty much never rains. Okay, we see the rain, actually, the drops of rain coming down. They are floated. All the water also in the sand. This is sand, like all covered with water. Even the llamas are all wet. Everybody. So, what is indicating all of this? According to the specialists, what they found in the archaeological site, there was actually a cemetery, discovered in this part of the country, they were able to see that, first of all, the bones that were discovered in that site were all covered in a wet strata. So abnormally wet, very humid, that solidified later with the passing of the time and the sun coming back to the coast. So seems that for long time, for months basically, there were constant rains in this territory. And that this sacrifice was associated with a response, a desperate response, thinking that the gods, what they wish, was the most sacred for these people, which were the children. And children from 1 year old until, let's say, more or less 9 years old, in average, were given to these deities, to these gods. Okay, so well, one of the things that honestly I give thanks to the Spaniards is, well, that they stopped completely any form of sacrifices, not just here, also in Mesoamerica, Mexico, Central America, sorry, in Mexico, here in South America, because well, the Americas were not a paradise, but indeed we had incredible like cultural expressions and as you know already, religion and tradition, and but we had also things that were not good. And the Spaniards didn't bring only just good things. Keep in mind that they introduced the Inquisition here, the persecution also to indigenous, based on their religion and their faith, and their practices. So it's not that everything was great, but well, sacrifices of children is something that really touches me deeply. So the Spaniards, the conquistadors, came to Peru in the year 1532, and well, in the course of some few years, they reached the territory that nowadays we call Trujillo, establishing the city of Trujillo in the year 1534. So you know already that Trujillo was established very close to the archaeological site Chan Chan, which is also a museum nowadays. And well, for the next part also, and the arrival of the conquistadors to this territory, and also the impact of the evangelization of the North Coast, the arrival of the new systems, the new architecture also. well, with that, we will continue also later in the future. So in the next event we will be having, we will talk about archaeological sites in the north coast of Peru, because the north coast of Peru is a land of lots of archaeology. And I'm coming now to the end of this event. Thank you very, very much for your participation, for being with me live here on YouTube. I know the times are complicated also in this hour. Not everybody is free, but I leave also these videos for replay for the rest of the day, and then they go to the to my library in Patreon. So if you wish also to support here in Patreon your tour guide, I'll share with you also a link, and that would be wonderful. If you wish also to become a patron and get full access to all of my Patreon gallery, well, with a little donation, you can open all of the gallery. I have tiers of $2, $5, $10, and $20 per month, just one pay. And well, the compromise you are doing with me and my channel also is retributed with all of the tours I'm doing and the information I'm researching for you all. Also, last but not least, if you wish to join some Facebook groups that offer tours, like in this way, like the same that I do on YouTube, on Zoom, also on Facebook, on other platforms. I'm leaving here in the chat. This is all in the chat, just if you wanna give it a quick look for later. I'm leaving here some links to these groups. I have lots of good friends that offer tours every day, actually, and most of them are free to join and just tip supported. Okay, so well, make sure of giving them a look, giving them a try also, and I'm sure you're going to be very, very happy with all the content that they have for you all. So well, thank you so much, amigos. I hope you enjoy this one, and well, let me send you lots of love from Lima, Peru. Have a lovely day, and once again, to my friends celebrating today Thanksgiving, well, happy Thanksgiving to you all. See you soon. Gracias, and well, until next time. I think it's going to be tomorrow another one. So well, take care and see you soon. Bye bye. Ciao, ciao, amigos. Hasta pronto.